My name is Emma, and I spent 3 years protecting the most classified communication systems in America until my new boss decided my security protocols were worthless garbage. I worked at Blackstone Facility, a government installation so secret that most people drive past thinking it's just another office complex. What they don't know is that every presidential flight, every Air Force One communication, every classified military transmission flows through our servers. When Derek Stevens walked through our doors as the new operations manager, he took one look at my carefully constructed security measures and declared them obsolete paranoia that needed immediate elimination. Derek's first week at Blackstone started with what he called a modernization initiative. Standing at the head of our conference table on Monday morning, he spread out glossy charts showing streamlined workflows and eliminated redundancies. His crisp navy suit and confident smile suggested someone who had revolutionized facilities before, but something felt wrong about his presentation. Ladies and gentlemen, we're operating in the 21st century, not the Cold War, Derek announced, clicking through slides that showed our current security architecture. These layered authentication systems, these manual verification checkpoints, these backup confirmation protocols are slowing us down unnecessarily. I raised my hand from the back of the room. Sir, those protocols protect classified military communications. Each layer serves a specific purpose in preventing unauthorized access to sensitive government networks. Derek's smile never wavered, but his eyes narrowed slightly. Emma Wright, I've reviewed your file. Very impressive academic credentials, but sometimes book learning gets in the way of practical efficiency. Modern cybersecurity relies on automated systems, artificial intelligence, and streamlined processes. These manual checkpoints you've implemented are bottlenecks that create more vulnerabilities than they prevent. The other technicians shifted uncomfortably in their chairs. Sarah, our network administrator, glanced at me with concern. We had worked together for 2 years building these safeguards after a near-breach incident that could have exposed presidential travel routes. With respect, sir, these aren't academic theories, I replied, feeling heat rise in my cheeks. Last year, we intercepted 17 attempts to penetrate our outer defenses. The manual verification protocols caught sophisticated spoofing attacks that automated systems missed completely. Derek clicked to his next slide, which showed a simplified network diagram with fewer security layers. Exactly my point. You're fighting yesterday's battles with yesterday's tools. Modern intrusion detection uses machine learning algorithms that adapt faster than any human operator. We need to trust technology instead of creating bureaucratic maze that slows legitimate operations. After the meeting, Derek called me into his office. The walls were already decorated with framed certificates and military-style commendations, though I noticed the details were too small to read clearly. Emma, I understand change can be difficult, especially when you've invested significant time developing existing systems, he said, settling behind his desk. But I need team players who embrace innovation, not guardians of outdated methodology. Sir, could you explain which specific protocols you consider outdated? I'd like to understand your concerns so we can address them while maintaining security integrity. Derek leaned back in his chair, steepling his fingers. All of them, frankly. These multi-factor authentication requirements, these manual approval processes for routine operations, these backup confirmation systems that require 3 different technicians to authorize basic maintenance tasks. It's security theater, not actual protection. My stomach dropped. Those weren't routine operations he was describing. Those were safeguards for accessing presidential communication networks and Air Force One coordination systems. If he eliminated those protocols, foreign adversaries could potentially intercept or manipulate classified military transmissions. I think there might be some misunderstanding about what those systems protect. I began carefully. We're not just managing corporate data. These networks carry communications between the Pentagon and Air Force One during presidential flights. The manual verification exists because automated systems can be compromised, but human judgment can spot inconsistencies that algorithms miss. Derek's expression hardened. Emma, I appreciate your dedication, but you're not seeing the bigger picture. I've managed cybersecurity operations for Fortune 500 companies, handling billions of dollars in transactions. Government work isn't inherently more complex than private sector operations. If anything, government systems are typically years behind industry standards. That evening, I decided to research Derek's background more thoroughly. His resume claimed extensive military experience and cybersecurity leadership roles, but something about his dismissive attitude toward established protocols bothered me. Using my security clearance, I accessed personnel verification databases and discovered troubling inconsistencies. Derek Stevens had indeed served in the military, but his discharge papers showed he was removed for failure to follow established safety procedures after ignoring ammunition handling protocols during a training exercise. His cybersecurity experience came from managing retail payment systems, not classified government networks. Most concerning, his previous employer had terminated him for implementing unauthorized system modifications that created security vulnerabilities. The next morning, Derek announced his nephew Tyler would be joining our team as the new senior cybersecurity analyst, despite having only 6 months of experience at a community college computer program. During the introduction, Tyler mentioned he was excited to bring fresh perspectives to government technology challenges. I requested a private meeting with Facility Director General Harrison to discuss my concerns about Derek's proposed changes. His secretary informed me that General Harrison was attending defense briefings in Washington for the next 2 weeks, but Derek had already scheduled a comprehensive security review presentation for his return. "Don't worry about the general," Derek said when I mentioned the delayed meeting. "I've already briefed him extensively about our modernization plans. He's very supportive of bringing this facility into the current decade." That afternoon, Derek began implementing what he called Phase 1 optimization. He instructed Tyler to disable the first layer of authentication protocols for what he described as routine maintenance access. I watched in growing alarm as Tyler's inexperienced fingers navigated through security menus, removing safeguards that had taken months to properly configure. "Tyler, that's the firewall protecting classified communication servers," I warned. "You need authorization from 3 senior technicians before modifying those settings." Tyler looked uncertainly between Derek and me. "Uncle Derek said these were just outdated access controls that were slowing down legitimate users." Derek stepped between us. "Emma, I'm trying to be patient with your adjustment period, but questioning direct orders in front of junior staff is unprofessional and disruptive. Tyler is following my explicit instructions to improve system efficiency." I spent that night documenting every change Derek had authorized, every protocol he had eliminated, and every security vulnerability his modifications had created. Something was fundamentally wrong with this situation, but I needed concrete evidence before making serious accusations against a senior manager. The warning signs were multiplying faster than I could track them, and Derek's dismissive confidence was starting to feel more like deliberate deception. By Wednesday morning, the facility's network infrastructure was showing strain from Derek's modifications. I arrived early to check system logs and discovered dozens of unusual connection attempts from foreign IP addresses, all probing the exact vulnerabilities that Derek's changes had exposed. "Sam, take a look at this," I whispered to our veteran network technician, showing him the suspicious activity on my monitor. Sam had 20 years of experience with classified military communications and immediately understood the implications. "Those are reconnaissance scans," he said quietly, studying the data. "Someone's testing our defenses, systematically looking for weak points in the exact areas where the new protocols were removed." Sam and I worked together to trace the attack patterns, discovering that the foreign probes were specifically targeting communication pathways used for Air Force One coordination. The timing wasn't coincidental. These attacks had begun exactly 12 hours after Derek's first security modifications went live. "We need to report this immediately," Sam said, reaching for his secure telephone. "Derek disabled the incident reporting protocols," I replied, feeling sick to my stomach. He claimed they created unnecessary bureaucracy and that all security concerns should flow through his office first. During lunch break, I decided to check on Tyler's progress with the system modifications Derek had ordered. I found him in the server room staring helplessly at a computer terminal displaying error messages in bright red text. "Tyler, what's happening here? I think I accidentally exposed some classified server addresses to external networks," he admitted, his face pale with worry. "Uncle Derek told me to update the network routing tables, but when I applied the new settings, all these warning messages appeared." I looked at his screen and felt my blood pressure spike. Tyler had inadvertently published internal IP addresses for presidential communication servers to public DNS records, essentially creating a roadmap for foreign hackers to find our most sensitive systems. "Tyler, this is extremely serious. You've just broadcast the location of classified military networks to anyone who knows how to perform a basic internet search." Tyler's hands trembled as he tried to undo his changes. "Uncle Derek said the old routing system was too restrictive and that opening up network access would improve performance. He told me not to worry about warning messages because modern firewalls handle security automatically." I spent the next hour helping Tyler reverse his modifications, but the damage was already spreading across the internet. Specialized websites that track government network configurations had already cached the exposed information, and foreign intelligence services certainly had automated systems monitoring for exactly this type of data leak. "Tyler, you can't tell Derek that I helped you fix this. He's already looking for reasons to have me removed from the facility. But you need to understand that the protocols I implemented aren't bureaucratic obstacles. They're protecting national security information that could get people killed if it falls into the wrong hands." That afternoon, Derek called an all-hands meeting to announce Phase 2 of his optimization plan. Standing before a projected timeline, he outlined his schedule for eliminating what he called legacy security constraints by the end of the week. "Our goal is complete automation of cybersecurity monitoring," Derek explained, clicking through slides that showed reduced staffing requirements and simplified network architecture. "Human oversight introduces delays and errors that modern AI-driven security systems eliminate entirely." I raised my hand again, knowing it was probably futile but unable to stay silent. "Sir, automated systems can be spoofed or manipulated by sophisticated adversaries. The manual verification steps exist specifically because human operators can detect subtle inconsistencies that algorithms miss." Derek's smile became noticeably forced. "Emma, your concerns have been noted and considered. However, my decision is final. We're moving forward with complete automation by Friday afternoon." After the meeting, I overheard Derek on his cell phone in the parking lot speaking in hushed tones that carried through his partially open car window. "Phase 2 implementation is on schedule," he was saying. "The remaining obstacles will be removed by Friday and full access should be available by the weekend. Yes, the payment schedule we discussed is still acceptable." I pretended to check my own phone while listening, but Derek noticed me nearby and quickly ended his call. When our eyes met through his car window, his friendly manager facade disappeared for just a moment, replaced by something cold and calculating. That evening, I used my security clearance to access Derek's personnel file more thoroughly. What I discovered made my hands shake as I read through the classified sections. Derek had been under FBI investigation 3 years ago for suspicious financial transactions involving overseas accounts, but the case was closed due to insufficient evidence. More troubling, his current financial records showed recent deposits totaling over $200,000 from shell companies registered in countries known for hosting foreign intelligence operations. The payments had started exactly 1 week before Derek accepted his position at Blackstone facility. I tried again to reach General Harrison, but his office confirmed he was still attending classified briefings in Washington. When I explained that I needed to report urgent security concerns, his aide suggested contacting Derek Stevens as the designated interim facility commander. "I can't contact Derek about Derek," I said, feeling trapped by the circular bureaucracy. "Ma'am, without specific authorization from General Harrison, all security communications must flow through the established chain of command." That night, I compiled every piece of evidence I had gathered into a comprehensive report documenting Derek's suspicious background, his systematic dismantling of critical security protocols, and the correlation between his modifications and increased foreign reconnaissance activity. I encrypted the file using military-grade security and prepared to transmit it through back-channel communications to cybersecurity specialists at the Pentagon. But when I tried to access the secure transmission system, I discovered that Derek had already revoked my authorization codes. I was being systematically isolated from every avenue of communication while watching foreign adversaries probe the vulnerabilities that Derek's changes had created. The attacks were becoming more sophisticated each day, and I knew that Friday's complete automation would eliminate the final barriers protecting presidential communications from foreign interception. Something was happening at Blackstone facility that went far beyond bureaucratic incompetence or misguided modernization. Derek's behavior suggested deliberate sabotage, but I was running out of time and options to stop him. Thursday morning brought the confirmation of my worst fears. Using my remaining system access before Derek could revoke more privileges, I conducted a comprehensive audit of his activities since arriving at Blackstone. What I discovered was far worse than incompetent management. Derek had been systematically copying classified communication protocols and storing them on encrypted external drives. His computer access logs showed he had downloaded technical specifications for Air Force One communication systems, presidential security procedures, and classified military encryption algorithms. Most damning network analysis revealed he had been uploading this stolen data to secure servers located in Eastern European countries known for hosting intelligence operations. The financial evidence was equally devastating. Derek's bank records, which I accessed through my cybersecurity investigation privileges, showed a pattern of payments from overseas accounts that coincided exactly with each successful data theft. He wasn't just incompetently dismantling security systems. He was deliberately selling classified American military secrets to foreign adversaries. I spent hours documenting the evidence, creating an ironclad case that would convince any reasonable investigator of Derek's treason. Screenshots of his file transfers, copies of suspicious financial transactions, and detailed logs of his systematic security modifications painted a clear picture of espionage operations. But as I prepared to compile my evidence into a formal report, Derek appeared behind me in the Cybersecurity Operations Center. "Emma, what are you working on so intently?" His voice carried a false casualness that made my skin crawl. I minimized the windows on my screen, but not quickly enough. Derek had seen enough to understand that I was investigating his activities. "Just reviewing system performance logs," I replied, trying to keep my voice steady. "Network traffic has been unusually heavy this week, and I wanted to identify potential bottlenecks." Derek stepped closer, his eyes scanning my computer screen. "You know, Emma, I've been thinking about your future here at Blackstone. Your resistance to modernization suggests you might be happier at a facility that values traditional approaches over innovation." The threat was barely veiled. Derek was preparing to have me transferred or terminated before I could expose his activities. But I needed more time to complete my evidence compilation and find a secure way to transmit it to proper authorities. I appreciate your concern for my career development, I said carefully. I'm committed to supporting whatever approach best serves national security interests. Derek's smile never reached his eyes. I'm glad to hear that, Emma. In fact, I think it would be beneficial for you to take some time off while we finalize the automation implementation. Why don't you clear your desk and take a long weekend? Tyler and I can handle the remaining technical work. My heart pounded as I realized Derek was removing me from the facility before his final security eliminations. If I left now, there would be no one left with the knowledge and access necessary to stop his sabotage of critical military communications. Sir, I'd prefer to stay and help with the transition. My experience with these systems could be valuable for ensuring smooth implementation. Derek's expression hardened slightly. Emma, I appreciate your dedication, but my decision is final. Please gather your personal belongings and check out with security before noon. Your services won't be needed during the final phases of our modernization project. I had no choice but to comply, but I used the next hour to secretly copy my evidence files onto multiple encrypted storage devices. If Derek was planning something catastrophic for Friday afternoon, I needed to be prepared to prove his criminal activities to outside authorities. As I cleared my desk, Sarah approached me quietly. Emma, I don't understand what's happening here. Derek's changes are making the network less secure, not more efficient. Some of the modifications he ordered don't make any technical sense. Sarah, listen carefully, I whispered. Document everything Derek and Tyler do for the rest of this week. Keep detailed logs of every change they make, every protocol they disable, every security measure they eliminate. If something goes wrong, that documentation could be crucial evidence. Derek appeared beside my cubicle before Sarah could respond. Emma, I need to escort you to security for your checkout process. Company policy requires management supervision when employees access classified materials during transition periods. The security checkout process felt more like an interrogation than standard procedure. Derek had already informed the guards that I was being transferred due to performance concerns and resistance to authorized policy changes. By the time I reached my car in the parking lot, Derek had positioned himself as the responsible manager dealing with a problematic employee, while I looked like a disgruntled worker being removed for insubordination. But Derek had made a crucial mistake. In his eagerness to eliminate my access to facility systems, he had overlooked my personal relationships with cybersecurity professionals at other government installations. From my car, I used my encrypted personal phone to contact Agent Jennifer Walsh at the FBI's Cybercrime Division, someone I had worked with during previous security investigations. Jennifer. This is Emma Rodriguez from Blackstone Facility. I have evidence of ongoing espionage operations targeting classified military communications, but I've been removed from the facility and can't use official reporting channels. Emma, that's a serious accusation. What kind of evidence are you talking about? Financial records showing payments from Foreign Intelligence Services network logs, documenting theft of classified communication protocols, and systematic dismantling of security safeguards, protecting Air Force One coordination systems. The perpetrator is planning to complete his sabotage tomorrow afternoon, and I believe he's working with overseas handlers to sell presidential communication secrets. Agent Walsh was quiet for several seconds. Emma, can you transmit your evidence through secure channels for immediate review? If what you're describing is accurate, we need to intervene before any additional classified material is compromised. I spent the next hour uploading my evidence files to the FBI's secure submission portal while sitting in a coffee shop parking lot 3 miles from Blackstone Facility. But as I watched the progress bar slowly advance, I couldn't shake the feeling that Derek's timeline was accelerating faster than the bureaucratic response could handle. Tomorrow afternoon, Derek would eliminate the final security protocols protecting the most classified military communications in America, and I was powerless to stop him from the outside. Friday morning at exactly 2 o'clock, I sat in my car across the street from Blackstone facility, watching through binoculars as Derek's plan reached its devastating conclusion. Agent Walsh had confirmed that my evidence was compelling, but FBI cybercrime investigations required careful coordination with national security agencies, and bureaucratic protocols would delay any intervention until Monday morning. Derek couldn't wait that long. Through the facility's windows, I could see him directing Tyler through the final elimination of security protocols that protected Air Force One communication systems. My phone buzzed with urgent text messages from Sarah, who was still inside documenting everything as I had requested. Derek just ordered Tyler to disable the master firewall protecting presidential communications, her first message read. Tyler looks scared, but Derek keeps saying it's just temporary for system testing. I typed back quickly, "Sarah, get away from the server room immediately. When that firewall goes down, automatic security systems will detect the breach and trigger lockdown protocols. Don't be near any classified terminals when that happens." My phone buzzed again. Derek is entering his administrator password now. Tyler's finger is over the execute button. "Emma, I think something terrible is about to happen." At exactly 2:03 p.m., every alarm in Blackstone facility began blaring simultaneously. Red warning lights flashed through the windows as automated lockdown procedures engaged sealing all exits and isolating the building from external communications. I watched in horrified fascination as Derek's face appeared briefly at a second-floor window, no longer confident but panicked and desperate. The security breach that Derek had orchestrated was triggering cascading failure throughout the military communication network. His elimination of protective protocols had exposed Air Force One coordination systems to immediate foreign infiltration, and automated defense systems were responding exactly as designed when classified networks came under attack. My phone rang with an encrypted call from Agent Walsh. "Emma, we're monitoring massive cybersecurity alerts from your facility. What we're seeing suggests foreign hackers have penetrated presidential communication systems. Is this connected to the evidence you provided?" "It's exactly what Derek planned," I replied, watching military vehicles surround the facility. He eliminated every security protocol I had implemented, and foreign intelligence services were waiting to exploit the vulnerabilities he created. The automatic lockdown is probably preventing them from completing their data theft, but the damage may already be done. Within minutes, black helicopters circled overhead, while armed FBI agents established a perimeter around Blackstone. Through my binoculars, I could see Derek frantically gesturing at computer screens inside the facility, probably trying to reverse his sabotage before investigators could document his crimes. Agent Walsh called again. "Emma, Air Force One has been forced to make an emergency landing at Andrews Air Force Base due to communication system compromises. The President's security detail detected unauthorized access attempts targeting flight coordination networks. We need you to brief our technical team about the specific vulnerabilities Derek created." I drove to the FBI mobile command center that had appeared in the facility parking lot where cybersecurity specialists were analyzing the network attack in real time. The lead technician looked up from his laptop as I approached. "Ma'am, we're tracking systematic data exfiltration from classified military servers. Foreign IP addresses are downloading encrypted communication protocols, presidential security procedures, and flight coordination algorithms. The attack signature matches Russian intelligence operations we've been monitoring for months." Agent Walsh handed me a tablet showing network traffic analysis. "Emma, can you identify which security measures Derek disabled to enable this level of access penetration?" I studied the data, recognizing the attack pathways that my original protocols would have blocked completely. He eliminated authentication requirements for administrative access, disabled manual verification for sensitive operations, and removed the backup confirmation systems that would have detected unauthorized downloads. Essentially, he created a direct pipeline from classified servers to external networks. How long would it take to restore the original protections? Under normal circumstances, about 6 hours with a full technical team, but Derek has probably changed administrator passwords and deleted backup configurations to prevent anyone from reversing his modifications quickly. The FBI team was documenting everything methodically, but I could see their growing concern as foreign hackers continued downloading classified material from the compromised facility. Derek's sabotage was succeeding even as law enforcement surrounded the building. Through the command center windows, I watched Derek appear at another facility window, this time holding what looked like a cell phone. He was probably communicating with his foreign handlers, either coordinating the ongoing data theft or requesting extraction assistance. Agent Walsh noticed my observation. Emma, our communications intercept team has been monitoring Derek's encrypted phone calls for the past hour. He's been speaking Russian with individuals we've identified as intelligence operatives based in Moscow. The conversations suggest this operation was planned months in advance, with Derek's hiring as the critical first step. The implications were staggering. Derek hadn't just stumbled into an opportunity for espionage. He had been deliberately placed at Blackstone facility as part of a sophisticated foreign intelligence operation targeting America's most classified military communications. My resistance to his security changes had threatened to expose the entire scheme, which explained his desperate efforts to remove me from the facility. Agent Walsh, what happens now? Derek has already transmitted classified information to foreign adversaries, and the security vulnerabilities he created will take days to repair completely. Emma, that's why we need your expertise to guide our response. You understand these systems better than anyone else on our team, and your documentation of Derek's activities provides the evidence we need to prosecute him for treason. As afternoon turned to evening, the scope of Derek's betrayal became clear. He had systematically compromised every aspect of Blackstone facility's security architecture, creating vulnerabilities that would require months to repair completely. But his most damaging crime was exposing Air Force One communication systems to foreign surveillance, potentially compromising presidential security for years to come. The lockdown continued through the night as FBI cybersecurity experts worked to contain the damage and preserve evidence of Derek's treason. Saturday morning brought a convoy of unmarked government vehicles to Blackstone facility as multiple federal agencies coordinated their response to what was being called the most serious cybersecurity breach in modern American history. Agent Walsh briefed me as FBI technicians continued analyzing the compromised network systems. Emma overnight analysis confirms that Derek's operation successfully transmitted over 2 terabytes of classified information to foreign servers before our lockdown stopped the data flow. We're talking about communication protocols for Air Force One encrypted channels used for presidential security coordination and backup procedures for military command networks. The facility remained sealed while forensic specialists documented every aspect of Derek's sabotage. Through the command center windows, I could see FBI agents escorting Derek and Tyler from the building in handcuffs, both looking devastated by the consequences of their actions. "What about Tyler?" I asked Agent Walsh. He seemed genuinely unaware of what Derek was really doing. "Tyler is cooperating fully with our investigation. He admits that Derek told him the security modifications were routine system updates and his computer access logs support his claims of being manipulated rather than actively participating in espionage. We're offering him immunity in exchange for complete testimony about Derek's instructions and methods." Agent Walsh led me to a secure briefing room where General Harrison was waiting with several other military officials. The general's expression was grim as he reviewed classified reports about the security breach. "Ms. Rodriguez, I owe you a profound apology," General Harrison began. "Your warnings about Derek's modifications were absolutely correct, and my failure to take them seriously enabled this catastrophic compromise of national security systems. Sir Derek deliberately blocked my access to official reporting channels and painted my concerns as resistance to change. He was very skilled at manipulating bureaucratic procedures to prevent his activities from being scrutinized by proper authorities." General Harrison nodded gravely. "Our investigation confirms that Derek Stevens was recruited by Russian intelligence services 2 years ago while working in the private sector. His placement at Blackstone facility was the culmination of a long-term operation targeting American military communications. Your security protocols were the primary obstacle preventing their success." Agent Walsh spread classified photographs across the table. "Emma, these images show Derek meeting with known Russian intelligence operatives during business trips to Eastern Europe. Financial records prove he received over $300,000 in exchange for providing technical specifications about American cybersecurity systems. The evidence was overwhelming. Derek had been systematically photographing classified documents, copying security algorithms, and providing detailed facility layouts to foreign handlers. His nephew Tyler had been an unwitting accomplice following his uncle's instructions without understanding their treasonous purpose. "What's the extent of the damage?" I asked, dreading the answer. General Harrison consulted his classified briefing materials. "Derek's sabotage exposed communication pathways that foreign adversaries could potentially use to track presidential movements, intercept classified military coordination, and disrupt Air Force One operations during critical missions. We're implementing emergency protocols to change all encryption algorithms, modify communication frequencies, and redesign network architectures that were compromised." Agent Walsh added, "The good news is that your evidence and Sarah's documentation provide complete proof of Derek's criminal activities. His conviction for espionage and treason is virtually guaranteed, and we've identified his entire foreign support network for prosecution." "What about the ongoing security threats? Foreign intelligence services now have detailed information about our military communication systems." "That's where your expertise becomes crucial," General Harrison replied. "We need you to lead the complete reconstruction of Blackstone facility's security architecture, using lessons learned from this breach to create even more robust protection against future espionage attempts." The investigation revealed the sophistication of Derek's operation. He had spent months studying my security protocols, identifying specific vulnerabilities he could exploit while maintaining plausible cover as a modernization initiative. His technical modifications were carefully designed to create access pathways that would be difficult for casual observers to detect. Sarah testified that Derek had pressured her to disable backup monitoring systems by claiming they were causing network performance problems. Other technicians confirmed that Derek had systematically isolated anyone with sufficient expertise to recognize the true purpose of his modifications. Derek understood that cybersecurity professionals would eventually detect his sabotage, Agent Walsh explained. His strategy was to work quickly, eliminate knowledgeable opposition, and complete his data theft before anyone could sound effective alarms. Tyler's cooperation provided crucial insights into Derek's manipulation techniques. He told me that Emma was stuck in old-fashioned thinking and that modern cybersecurity required bold changes, Tyler testified. He made it sound like following Emma's protocols would hurt my career prospects and limit my professional development. The FBI's investigation extended to Derek's previous employers, revealing a pattern of suspicious activities that had been overlooked or dismissed as personality conflicts. Derek was skilled at presenting himself as an innovative leader while secretly undermining security measures for personal profit. "How did he pass the background investigation for security clearance?" I asked Agent Walsh. Derek's Russian handlers spent years creating a false professional history that would withstand routine scrutiny. His military service record was genuine, but they manipulated his civilian employment references and provided fabricated character testimonials. The background investigation process wasn't designed to detect this level of sophisticated deception. By Sunday evening, the FBI had arrested 12 individuals connected to Derek's espionage network, including his overseas handlers and several American accomplices who had provided logistical support for his operation. The investigation revealed that Blackstone facility was just one target in a broader campaign to penetrate American military communications. General Harrison pulled me aside as the initial investigation phase concluded. "Emma, your dedication to proper security protocols and your refusal to compromise under pressure probably prevented even more serious damage to national security. Derek's operation would have succeeded completely if you hadn't documented his activities and maintained evidence of his crimes." The weight of what had happened was beginning to sink in. Derek's betrayal had exposed some of America's most classified military secrets to foreign adversaries, but it could have been far worse if his sabotage had continued unchecked. My insistence on following established security procedures had provided the evidence necessary to stop him and prosecute his entire network. Monday morning brought the most dramatic moment of the entire crisis, when Derek Stevens was formally charged with high treason in a federal courtroom packed with government officials and military personnel. As the lead witness against Derek Stevens was called to testify about his systematic sabotage of national security systems. Derek sat at the defendant's table in an orange jumpsuit, his confident manager persona completely shattered. His expensive suits and charming smile had been replaced by the hollow expression of someone who realized his life was effectively over. When our eyes met across the courtroom, I saw desperation rather than the calculating arrogance he had displayed at Blackstone facility. "Ms. Rodriguez," the federal prosecutor began, "please describe Derek Stevens's behavior when you raised concerns about his security modifications." Derek consistently dismissed my warnings as outdated thinking and bureaucratic resistance to modernization. He refused to consider the possibility that manual verification protocols served important security functions, claiming that automated systems were inherently superior to human oversight. The prosecutor displayed network diagrams showing the vulnerabilities Derek had created. Did Derek Stevens ever acknowledge the potential national security implications of his modifications? No, sir. When I explained that our systems protected Air Force One communications and presidential security coordination, Derek claimed that government networks weren't fundamentally different from private corporate systems. He seemed either unaware of or deliberately indifferent to the classified nature of our operations. Derek's defense attorney attempted to portray his actions as misguided patriotism rather than deliberate treason, arguing that he genuinely believed his modifications would improve American cybersecurity capabilities. But the evidence of his Russian contacts and financial payments made this defense untenable. Agent Walsh testified about the FBI's investigation into Derek's foreign connections. Intercepted communications prove that Derek Stevens was receiving specific instructions from Russian intelligence operatives about which security protocols to eliminate and when to provide access to classified systems. This was not incompetent management, but sophisticated espionage. Tyler took the stand to describe how Derek had manipulated him into implementing the sabotage. My uncle told me that Emma was holding back progress with unnecessary security restrictions. He said that following her protocols would limit my career advancement and prevent me from learning modern cybersecurity techniques. I trusted him because he was family and seemed so confident about his expertise. The most damaging testimony came from Derek's Russian handler, who had been arrested by international law enforcement and agreed to cooperate in exchange for reduced charges. Speaking through an interpreter, the intelligence operative confirmed that Derek's recruitment had been planned for years. We identified Mr. Stevens as a potential asset because of his access to American government facilities and his willingness to compromise security procedures for financial gain. The Blackstone facility assignment was specifically chosen because of the classified military communications it protected. When Derek finally took the stand in his own defense, his testimony was rambling and contradictory. He claimed alternately that he was trying to help American cybersecurity, that he was being framed by foreign adversaries, and that his actions were justified by the inefficiency of existing security protocols. I was trying to bring government technology into the 21st century, Derek insisted. Emma Rodriguez was stuck in Cold War mentality that made our systems unnecessarily complex and vulnerable to modern attack methods. The prosecutor confronted Derek with bank records showing his Russian payments. Mr. Stevens, how do you explain receiving $300,000 from accounts controlled by Russian intelligence services? Derek's answer was barely coherent. Those payments were consulting fees for cybersecurity advice. I didn't know the source of the funds or the intended use of the information I provided. Mr. Stevens, you provided classified American military communication protocols to foreign adversaries in exchange for money. How is that not treason? Derek's composure finally cracked completely. You don't understand the pressure I was under. They threatened my family if I didn't cooperate. I never wanted to hurt American national security. This admission contradicted his previous claims of innocent intentions and essentially confirmed his guilt. The jury deliberated for less than 2 hours before returning guilty verdicts on all charges of espionage, treason, and conspiracy against the United States. Judge Margaret Thompson imposed the maximum sentence allowed by law, 25 years in federal prison, without possibility of parole. Mr. Stevens, your betrayal of American national security endangered the lives of military personnel and compromised the safety of the President of the United States. Your actions represent one of the most serious breaches of trust in modern American history. As Derek was led away in shackles, he turned back toward me one final time. The arrogance was completely gone, replaced by the broken expression of someone who had destroyed his own life for foreign money. His nephew Tyler, who received immunity for cooperation, was crying openly in the gallery. General Harrison approached me after the sentencing. Emma, justice has been served, but the work of repairing Derek's damage is just beginning. Are you ready to lead the most comprehensive cybersecurity reconstruction in military history? The confrontation was over, but the consequences of Derek's betrayal would influence American national security for years to come. His trial had exposed vulnerabilities in the background investigation process and revealed the sophisticated methods foreign adversaries were using to penetrate classified government systems. Most importantly, Derek's prosecution sent a clear message that betraying American national security would result in severe consequences regardless of the sophistication of the espionage operation or the plausibility of the cover story. 6 months after Derek's conviction, I stood in the completely rebuilt Blackstone facility as the newly appointed Chief Cybersecurity Officer for Military Communications Networks. The transformation was remarkable. Where Derek had once eliminated security protocols, we had implemented revolutionary new systems that combined human expertise with advanced artificial intelligence in ways that neither could achieve alone. The facility's walls were lined with commendations from every branch of the military recognition for developing cybersecurity procedures that had become the gold standard for protecting classified government communications. My team had grown from 3 technicians to 30 specialists, each trained in the lessons we learned from Derek's betrayal. Tyler had become one of my most dedicated students. His experience as an unwitting accomplice to espionage gave him unique insight into manipulation techniques used by hostile adversaries. Emma, I can't believe how naive I was about cybersecurity, he said during our weekly training session. Derek made eliminating safety protocols sound like progress instead of sabotage. Tyler, that's exactly why human judgment remains essential even with automated systems. Foreign adversaries understand our technology, but they struggle to predict how experienced professionals will respond to subtle inconsistencies and suspicious patterns. Sarah had been promoted to Deputy Chief of Network Security, and together we had created training programs that were now used throughout the Department of Defense. Our experience with Derek's operation provided real-world case studies that helped other cybersecurity professionals recognize similar threats. The key lesson I explained to a classroom full of government cybersecurity specialists is that sophisticated adversaries don't attack systems directly. They attack the people who manage those systems using psychological manipulation to convince dedicated professionals that security measures are obstacles rather than protections. General Harrison visited frequently to review our progress and share updates about the broader investigation into foreign intelligence operations targeting American government facilities. Emma, your security architecture has become the template for protecting classified communications throughout the military. We've implemented your protocols at 15 other installations, and attempted penetrations have dropped by 90%. The most satisfying aspect of our reconstruction was developing security measures that Derek's sabotage had proven necessary. We created multi-layered authentication systems that required both automated verification and human judgment backup protocols that could detect and reverse unauthorized modifications, and monitoring systems that tracked not just what changes were made, but who made them and why. The irony, I told Agent Walsh during one of her periodic security briefings, is that Derek's attack taught us to build better defenses than we had before. His systematic elimination of our protocols revealed vulnerabilities we hadn't considered and forced us to design more comprehensive protection. Agent Walsh smiled as she reviewed our latest security assessment. Emma, the FBI is using your experience with Derek as a training case for investigating cybersecurity threats. Your documentation of his activities provides the perfect example of how to recognize and stop insider threats before they cause catastrophic damage. Tyler approached my desk as I finished reviewing the quarterly security report. Emma, I have a question about something that still bothers me. How could Derek have been so confident that his sabotage would succeed? He seemed genuinely surprised when the automatic lockdown systems triggered. Derek understood technology, but not people. He assumed that eliminating technical barriers would guarantee success, but he didn't account for the human judgment that recognizes when something feels fundamentally wrong. His confidence was actually arrogance, and arrogance makes people careless about details that ultimately expose their crimes. The transformation extended beyond technical systems. We had created a facility culture that encouraged questioning suspicious instructions and rewarded people for raising security concerns, even when those concerns challenged senior management decisions. Derek's manipulation had succeeded partly because people were reluctant to question authority. But our new environment empowered every team member to speak up about potential threats. The most important lesson from Derek's betrayal, I explained to General Harrison during our annual review, is that cybersecurity isn't just about technology. It's about creating environments where dedicated professionals feel safe to challenge decisions that compromise safety even when those challenges are unpopular or inconvenient. General Harrison nodded approvingly. Emma, that insight has influenced cybersecurity policy throughout the Department of Defense. We're implementing cultural changes at every military installation to ensure that what happened at Blackstone can never happen again. As I reflected on everything that had happened, I realized that Derek's betrayal had ultimately strengthened American cybersecurity in ways that normal training exercises never could. His sophisticated attack had revealed vulnerabilities that we might not have discovered until a real crisis, and our response had created defensive capabilities that were now protecting classified information across the entire government. Tyler interrupted my reflection with exciting news. Emma, the Pentagon wants us to brief congressional leaders about cybersecurity threats next month. They're using our experience with Derek to support funding for expanded cybersecurity programs throughout the federal government. The long-term impact of our experience was still expanding. Military installations worldwide were implementing security protocols based on lessons learned from Derek's sabotage, and cybersecurity professionals were being trained to recognize manipulation techniques used by foreign adversaries. The most important thing we accomplished, I told my team during our final meeting of the year, is proving that dedication to proper procedures and refusal to compromise on safety can protect national security even against sophisticated foreign intelligence operations. Derek's betrayal failed because people like you refused to abandon your professional integrity even under pressure. As I looked around the conference table at the talented professionals who had helped rebuild our security systems, I felt profound satisfaction knowing that our work was protecting American military personnel and political leaders around the world. Derek's treason had been devastating, but our response had created stronger defenses than ever existed before. The experience taught me that standing up for principles, even when isolated and threatened, ultimately protects what matters most. Professional integrity and refusal to compromise on safety protocols, even under pressure from senior management, can prevent catastrophic consequences that would harm countless innocent people. Our story had become proof that ordinary professionals armed with expertise and unwavering commitment to security could defeat sophisticated foreign intelligence operations designed to undermine American national security. Derek's confidence in his ability to manipulate and compromise our systems had been his downfall because he underestimated the strength of people who refused to abandon their professional values for convenience or career advancement. I hope our experience inspires other cybersecurity professionals to trust their instincts when something feels wrong, to document suspicious activities even when they seem to come from legitimate authority, and to remember that the protocols we follow aren't bureaucratic obstacles, but essential protections for the people and institutions we serve. Have you ever been in a situation where you had to choose between following orders and doing what you knew was right? I'd love to hear about times when your professional integrity helped protect something important, even when it meant challenging authority or risking personal consequences. Please share your stories in the comments below, and if this story resonated with you, I hope you'll like this video and subscribe for more true accounts of ordinary people making extraordinary differences in protecting what matters most. Don't forget to share this with anyone who might benefit from hearing about the importance of standing up for professional principles, even when the cost seems high. Thank you for listening, and remember that your commitment to doing the right thing, even when it's difficult, makes our world safer for everyone.